This is Becky Nunn of Nunn Design, guest designer for Beadaholique. In this video, I'd like to show you how you can embed organic matter into an open back bezel to create fun pieces such as this. What you'll need is an undesigned open back bezel, some 2-part resin. I've already pre-mixed this and let it sit for 5 minutes, so I'm ready to go. You'll want a couple of extra stir cups, some items to use such as a tongue depressor, this is a coffee stir stick that I cut up, and a toothpick, your organic matter, some pieces that I just found in the woods, a pair of scissors, tape, I have some business cards, and some little pieces of wax paper. To apply the tape onto the back of the pendant, I'm choosing to use a very thick type of shipping tape. This is Uline S447, but it's a very, very thick tape. I have found that different lighter weights might leave a little bit more of a wave, and I've cut off a piece, made sure that I very carefully did not leave any of my fingerprints anywhere on the surface where the bezel is going to go. You take your bezel, you press it down on there, and then I just scooch it around like this to burnish it onto place, making sure that I have a right, even contact on all parts of the bezel to make sure that the resin doesn't pour out the sides once I've started to pour the resin in. The next step is to start to prepare my organics that are going to fit inside of my bezel. Before I put them immersed into the open back bezel, I want to go ahead and treat them with the resin themselves. So my resin has already been pre-mixed. I have laid down on the table some wax paper, and I've also put some wax paper underneath little business cards. I like to do that just so it makes it easy for me to transport the items around and not touch them once they are wet. I don't know about you guys, but I have a very small work surface, and so I often need to move things around in order to clear the space. So I'm just going about the whole surface to treat the organic. What I have found is if I do this, it helps prevent there to be air bubbles in the resin once I embed it inside of the piece. You'll definitely want to be not doing as I do. You'll want to wear a pair of gloves when you're applying this resin onto the pieces and handling the pieces that have resin on them. So I'm just drizzling the resin right onto the pieces. And I'm not worrying about the fact that it's going to spill over onto the paper. That's why I have the wax paper, and I'll be constantly checking it so that it doesn't stick to the paper itself. I'm also making sure that I don't get a lot of the organics onto my stir stick and then contaminating my resin. I'm only going to be using this upper part. So you just let that sit there, and I come back about every 5 minutes or so, and I double check by picking it up, and I might move it to another place so it'll pool onto a different area. I have a bigger work surface over here, so I might move it over here, and then when I'm done I'll bring it back over to my portable surface. Once my organics have dried, it'll be a nice little piece like this. I went ahead and trimmed off the bottom end because I'm going to want to put it right inside of the pendant, inside here. And what I found is it's helpful to place it inside of the bezel, attach it onto the tape so that it doesn't rise and float on the surface. So I'm just pressing it down gently and adhering it onto the tape. Now I'm ready to pour my resin by drizzling it in to the bezel. And I'm going slow just to cover and fill in all of those areas around where the organics are, so that I can make sure that the resin is pressed down inside of there, and that will help me prevent from the air bubbles surfacing. So take your time and fill the bezel. I'm not pressing too hard because I don't want my organics to chip or fray. And then just keep on drizzling until your bezel is full. I'm also paying attention to like little air bubbles that are surfacing, and I'm bringing them over on the side, and they'll just dissipate on their own. So the thing about two-part resin and embedding things is this is something that you're going to want to commit some time to. You're going to want to not do it in a hurry, and you're going to want to make sure that you have designated some time to really babysit your piece, because bubbles will and can surface to the surface, and you're just going to want to keep on watching for them so that you can pop them either by putting your toothpick in there and moving them over to the side and popping them. I'm not going to fill my piece really full. I'm underfilling it, and if I wanted to have a nice dome, I would first let this piece dry, babysitting it and having plenty of room to go in there and to address any bubbles that might be happening with my toothpick. But if I fill it too high, if I stick my toothpick in there, then I will overflow the side edges. So just underfill it, and then you're going to spend some time paying attention to what's happening with the piece, whether you're having some air bubbles surface or not. And by curing the piece and curing that piece of organic first, you're preventing a lot of the air bubbles that would come up. So it takes, depending on where you are, it depends on the time that it's going to take to cure this, but you want to look at your manufacturer's directions. It could take up to 72 hours to cure. What I do is just take a little plastic cup and place it over the top of your piece, and you'll want to set the timer so that you can come back like every 15 minutes and just double check that you don't have any air bubbles forming on your piece. You'll want to be careful and not press it down too hard because you have your tape there, but just coming back and taking a look if you have any air bubbles, and then placing it down until it's hardened. After your piece is finished, you will just take off the tape from the back side, and you will have a finished piece that you can then add all kinds of fun charms and fibers and make a nice necklace. This piece was created by Nunn Design Innovation team member Sharon Borsavage. I love this piece. I just think it's so pretty. She's so talented. This is Becky Nunn with Nunn Design, and I hope you've enjoyed learning how to embed organics into our open back bezels using a two-part resin.